Hello and welcome to Heat 10 of the Club Championships here at the mighty Manly 16-foot Skiff Club. Glorious day here on Sydney Harbour. We're just waiting on the skiffs to make their way down to the starting area. We've got a beautiful sunny day, nice nor'east breeze blowing, and joining me in commentary today to talk all things 16-foot skiffs and 13-foot skiffs is Paul McKenzie and Andrew Dolly Davola. How are you, boys?
Good, Jimmy. Yourself?
Loving it.
Loving it. Had a few big weeks in the past little bit.
Yeah,
Love letting me back up this end of the harbour.
Mate, good to be back up here with you blokes. It's good banter.
up the good end of the harbour. Beautiful day for some sailing today.
Yeah, it couldn't get much better for the final heat of a club championship, could it, Dolly?
No, it's looking at the moment, we've got nor'east, and at the moment probably about, what do you think, Paulie, 13, 14 knots?
Yeah, a few gusts pushing up to 15.
Yeah, and Paulie thinks it's going to build.
Yeah.
I think it'll build a bit. I don't think it'll get super fresh, but we're going to be certainly, look like most of the boats rigging up had big rig in back at the beach.
Yeah.
And they will be getting certainly up towards the top end of that rig by the longer this race goes, the more the breeze will fill in. Tide's coming in, so it won't get too lumpy, but as always, we've got a lot of boat traffic on a good day, chopping up the bay.
Talking about boat traffic, Dole, we've got the annual Sea Scout Regatta down in Balmoral, and we're just waiting to see what the start boat there on screen is going to do. Like, we'll definitely be on some sort of nor'east course, whether it's Windward Lewards or our traditional club courses.
Yeah, the Sirius Cup, the
Steve Bowen Cup.
The annual Scout Regatta, and yeah, as Paulie's alluding to, the core fluid team from back in the day were all Sea Scouts from Balmoral, and
our mighty fine president was as well.
And Rolf, yes.
They've produced a few good sailors that have made it up to the Skiff Club, haven't they?
Well, I was joking earlier that at least they can tie knots.
Unlike somebody else.
They got the badge. So, but yeah, there's we've just been watching the fleet come up to the top mark. A bit of a mix of experience, shall we say.
Yeah.
So if the starter decides to send us on the long course right down to Balmoral Island, there could be some challenges facing the skiffs today with a bit of traffic from the Sea Scout fleet.
It can be a bit scary for the Sea Scouts, especially when these 16s in this kind of pressure are coming downwind. You don't see much behind that spinnaker, do you, Dolly? And, you know, you sort of rely on people to get out of your way a tiny bit. But if you got that bowsprit coming at you, it can get a little bit scary for some of these kids.
Yeah, and often these inexperienced young kids will make a bit of a panic decision and turn the boat when they'd be better off just holding a course and letting the skiff avoid them. But fingers crossed, we don't...
Well, I went to the meeting beforehand, did a bit of research for the first time, and I think the plan is to send them down to Balmoral, but the starters are going to make a conscious decision depending on the fleet. And they said either they'll put us on the course bearing like Jimmy said, or they might even just do a change of course at the first top mark, possibly, just to shorten it so we don't really have that full crossover down the bottom.
Yeah, well, at least we had the sailing meeting today, as usual, with the club championship heat. So everyone should be pretty well informed about what's going on today. How many boats do you reckon were in this scout regatta, Paulie? Maybe 40, 50 boats?
It does look like, yeah, about that. It looks like a lot of them are actually heading in at the moment, Dolly, down there, doesn't it? Like heading back into maybe they're doing a strange course around Grotto, or
yeah,
I'm not too sure.
Looks like they're heading down towards Clontarf, Chinaman's Beach area. But
there's one of our contenders for today, the Moonin Yachts, Ruffy Turner, and got it all to play for today with the Typhoon. I think 1 point separates those two, and they've had plenty of clashes over the 7 races that we have been able to get out under control.
A few clashes off the water as well. Little bit of protest room action in the last little bit.
Bit of Baccarati.
There's the overall point standing for the club championships as we see it, with Typhoon leading currently on 10 points, Moonin Yachts on 11, Red Pumps Red, young Tyler Transfield doing an exceptional job this year in his first year on 16 points. And you know, talking about Tyler, like, you know, definitely raw talent, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they put in all the hard work at the beginning of the year. I don't know what sort of happened around national times with them. They were rocket ship. I think maybe a little bit of a lack of, got his confidence beaten down slightly at some point. And, you know, then you start losing confidence in each other on the boat, and then things can start going backwards.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, full credit to them. They won the state championship.
Yeah.
And great achievement for Tyler. Really only, you know, he came through the junior divisions at Manly.
We can't even have a beer yet, can he?
Yeah, well, I think he might, Paulie. But yeah, did a bit of a stint in the 29er, and when given the opportunity to come back to Manly and jump on a 16, he grabbed it and has made quite an impression. And as you say, first season, you know, and I think if Chris and Jackson and Tyler stick together, keep themselves grounded, work hard. They've trained. They did quite a bit of training this year.
Yeah.
The 2-boat campaign with the two Red Pumps boats works because they can train against each other, compare notes. But certainly, what we're playing for today is coming down between Typhoon and Moonin Yachts.
And Typhoon with another crew in, with Kurt Mitchell up the bow and Sean Connor on the sheet with Nathan steering.
Yep.
Mal's away in doing the North American actual titles.
And I think Rooster was supposed to be here, Brett Davis, but had to pull the pin, not feeling too well.
Got a booking for a tattoo somewhere, did he?
Yeah, he was getting that Manly Skiff Club tattoo. G'day, Bretto, if you're watching, champion.
I mean, but having Sean Connor jump in is a pretty good substitute, if you ask me.
Yeah, Sean and Kurt, they're going to do a good job today.
Kurt spent a bit of time on the moon, and so we'll see where his loyalties really lie. He's with Gus. I asked him if he's going to do up a few things a little bit less to help out the boys, or if there was a bit of chatter this morning, but he said no, he just wants to get out there and win and say well.
And Kurt, a great young fella too, in that he can fill any position on the boat and do it exceptionally well.
Which is quite rare in these boats, isn't it?
It is.
He had a blinder of a week last week during the Birkenhead Point Marina in the JJ Giltons.
Yeah, that's why I sort of made the point, Jimmy, because good to see him steering because he's a talented helmsman.
Yep, the boys from Drummoyne.
Yeah.
He filled in for Clint for quite a while, didn't he, when Clint had his issues?
He did, yeah. Only one small incident in that tenure, let's say. But
G'day to Bozo, who's doing the Tour de Cure at the moment, from Coffs to, where was it, Noosa, I think?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And then every year Clint does a Tour de Cure.
19th year, I think it is, if I was reading correctly, the Bozo's been pounding the pavement for raising a lot of funds for the Tour de Cure.
And credit to him, he's not only just a cyclist, he's an integral part of the organisation as well.
I know last year one of the teams was, they travel in packs for that. One of them's the Fluid team. And you get to see Clint on sunrise, I think, some mornings. He does a few nice things like that. He's not shy of a camera or a microphone, Clint. We all know that.
And a giant check.
Yeah.
Gotta love a giant check.
It's pretty amazing what he gets up to.
Yeah, great.
All the early mornings to get himself prepared, and I know, as Jimmy was saying, he coaches people through it as well for their first time.
So the fire stopping on screen there, Jimmy.
That is the mighty fire truck, mate. And they're in a battle royale today for the with Bartley Constructions. They're both tied on, I think, 29 points or thereabouts on handicap
for the handicap title. That's right.
So, yeah, go the fire truck.
Yeah, they've got that nice. They've got their good kite on today, I can see. And I had a quick chat to the three boys at the boat ramp earlier, and they looked in good spirits, let's say. So I think that will bode well. They got good attitude. They were all looking very fresh. I don't think there was any big nights had last night. So.
It's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
That's just put the mocker on them.
And one sec just coming across past the fire stopping there as the red pumps, the big boy red pumps, and they've got a lot of angies, Paulie, and they're throwing sheet, and that indicates that the breeze is up, right?
Yeah, it has just kicked whilst we've been sitting here a little bit, more consistent. Looks like it's pushing up to that 15, 16 knots. Because they've got Jay Harris on the wire, so you can't tell. It's like having a flea on the wire.
He's only a little fella, but Greg makes up for it.
The only ones that are going to be out here lighter than that today is the crew aboard Outback Marine with Georgia taking young Darcy from the 29ers from up at RPA's jumping in on the sheet, I believe.
I think it's 3 girls on the boat.
Yeah, 3 girls today. Yep, Alana in the bow, and
Alana's dealing with her mental issues of having to sail with me again last week.
How did that go, Paulie? You really did make sure that we were all so busy last week that we couldn't even find out that you were sailing.
I was quite happy they weren't there, because we all know Mr. Chits behind us likes to get a few photos of me huffing and puffing when I do jump back on.
I think Alana mentioned that she had to take the sheet off you at some stage, Paulie.
Look, I was very close to a boat I used to sail a lot with my boss in the front of it. I had to try extremely hard for about 10 minutes, and it took it out of me. But they didn't get past me, so that's the main thing.
So just off screen at the moment, we've got flags up on the start boat. So we've got northeast number 2 up, Paulie. So you want to fill us in on that course, mate?
So that's a classic northeast course here for a club champ. So we're heading up to a top mark, sort of halfway up into Manly, and then bottom mark down in Balmoral, go down into the Dardanelles down there and see how you go. And they'll do that 3 times with a finish afterwards, upwind finish.
Off the clubhouse, just about.
Yeah, finish at the top. So traditionally that is what we would call our classic northeast course, what a fitting way to finish off this championship, eh?
this is when you say, like, Manly, this is the days that you want. You want it on the big course. We sort of all can sail this course with our eyes closed.
Not as good as Bozo could.
Oh, the fluid back in the day was scary on this course.
This was just known as the fluid course.
Yeah. You just if they weren't winning and you knew they were coming. Yeah.
And that course is left,
Yeah.
and keep going left.
Well,
and with the incoming tide,
even more so.
even more so.
It's sort of, we spoke about it at the Nationals a little bit, didn't we, Dolly, where we had a bottom mark down here closer towards middle head, it took that traditional advantage away from the Manly boats a tiny bit.
It did, yeah.
Because this transition from here over towards Dobroyd is actually quite difficult, and the angle that you approach it on and where you approach it from can be, it's not something that we're used to.
Yeah. But that for the non-Manly sailors at the Nationals, that probably made things a little bit more even, a little bit more fair.
So
just on screen there now, that's we're talking Tyler Upper not long ago, so that's the Red Pumps Red crew of Tyler, Chris Williams, and Jackson Cranfield. How do you think they're going to go today, Paulie?
Look, I hope they do well.
Yeah, so do I.
I mean, as we were sort of saying, they haven't been performing as we thought what we were expecting. The expectations were very high after the state win. So they've been sort of sitting just at the back of that front pack for the last little bit, and not really pushing up with the Moonans, the Typhoons and the Imies and stuff like that. So it'd be good to see them in the race with them. That's what I'd really like to see.
Yeah, but you know what? Even though they might be, they've sort of been nipping at the heels of the leaders in more recent times since the States. That's still a great place for a young guy to be.
Oh, for your first year in one of these things, it's ridiculous.
In the fleet that we're sailing in, and the calibre of the sailors. That's the Bartley on screen there, young Dan Bromelo with his team. And they're contenders for the handicap, Jimmy.
It's the Cruise Trophy, isn't it, that gets run in conjunction with the club?
Yeah, correct.
So, handicap honours between them and the fire stopping. Do you know what their handicaps comparatively might be, Jimmy?
No. I'm not that clever. I don't understand their handicap system since they've changed it, Dol.
Well, yeah, I agree. The way the handicap system works these days, to me, is a bit of a black art. It was much easier when you just had a number.
You could buy a Mika schooner and get a few extra minutes.
That related to a minute in time rather than a decimal point.
Yeah, it's a multiplier system now almost.
There's a boat on screen that's coming along leaps and bounds. The unfortunate thing of they don't have a rig choice at the moment after Nick's turning abilities, so they've got a choice between big rig and big rig.
He thought it was in the outback again with his tinny.
But they've sort of been the form boater players.
They've definitely been the form boater.
They are super quick and they're sailing well. They're enjoying their sailing.
If they don't clean up the second half of your point score, there's something wrong with the system in my mind.
Yeah, probably. But them snapping that little rig, maybe that'll work in their favour like it did with their big rig. So they broke a rig, got a new one in the boat, and they were rocket ships. So
it's been scary how quick they've gone with that change of rig, hasn't it?
Yeah. But also, they've got their season together.
So we just had
bit more time on the water.
The Imey just here
on screen now.
Yeah, one of little Zach, Trent's son, fell off a roof during the week. Bit of a shout out to him. He's spent a bit of time up at the hospital. Zach was also on the Typhoon, national title winning boat, but he's cut his legs up and all that he cares about is to be back to footy in 2 weeks. He's a tough bugger, but we'll just...
he would have made a fair dent in the ground.
He didn't make it to the ground. He got caught by the edge of the roof sheets.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Oh, and that cut him.
Yeah, so he's got wrists, legs. Trent showed me a photo. It's a little bit scary.
Hopefully Zach is doing okay.
Get him back on the Manly team.
Yeah, so we had, go the Marlins. We're just looking at, on the Imey, we've got what has become their regular team at this back end of the season of Sarah Lee on the helm with Trent Barnabas and Rob Napper. They are going quick, and we'll expect them to figure in the results if you or I don't pick them. Fully.
And here's the Sail Racing, got 2 bullets last week.
Yeah, very impressive from those guys last week. I was out in the course, I don't think I saw them once. They were that far ahead. And they've got, looks like they've got their full complement on today. Tom Potter,
5 minutes.
Paul Darman,
Signal just goes up.
Felix Gretsch.
Felix, yeah. It's a regular team for them, so we can probably expect them to figure as well. So hard to pick today.
It's sort of in their range, the Sail Racing too. They like that, just not quite top end, but everybody's stretchy. And if there's a couple of little lulls, they just seem to glide through them a little bit better than everybody else.
Yeah. So, you know, I would expect the main players to be Typhoon, Moon and Cunningham's, Sail Racing, Amy, sorry.
Reliving your history there, Dol.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting a plug in for my old sponsor.
You can pick the whole fleet if you want to be figuring it in if you want, Dol.
Who do you want to leave off for the moment, Dol?
We'll just put the curse on 8 boats, shall we?
You're really trying to get your young boy a win, aren't you?
They're just counting down our start times now, and there's 4 minutes. Blue Peter up. And yeah, my aforementioned young bloke making his way down to the start through the.
Well, they all left it pretty late to get down here, didn't they, Dolly?
Yeah,
like,
some of the boats from the boat ramp who rig at the club can find it a bit difficult. You can only launch 1, sometimes 2 boats at a time. So depending on where you are on the ramp, you've got to wait your turn.
You had all the little open bics there leaving at the same time from the Manly Yacht Club as well. So, yeah, it makes it a very condensed little area for them to try and get out.
So there's Chubbs and Capital Brewing on screen there now. Our friendly local brewers.
I think they've moved to freshwater now, the Chubbs boys, which is good.
Oh, right.
A bit closer to my house, so I'm pretty happy.
So if we got the same bar manager?
Someone's son.
Yes.
No, Nick's not working there at the moment, unfortunately.
Bugger.
But if Paulie gives them enough plugs, he might be able to drop in for a few free drinks.
But yeah, shout out to the St John's who are sitting at the table of knowledge. Andrew off the boat today. Bernie Kerr's filling in on contemporary pools. And yeah, so Saint's sitting there with Saint Senior to learn how to balance beers.
I think he's pretty good at it.
Hello and afternoon to everyone at the table of knowledge this afternoon.
And for that fact, wherever you are watching around the world, hello.
So as we're getting closer to this start, Dolly, what are your sort of thoughts looking at this? We're just having...
It looks like a fairly even line, quite short line. But as you know, you and I have said 1,000 times, Paulie, it's bang over to that Bombora shore and try and tack before you run out of air, but tack late enough so that you get the port lift, and we'll be staying out of the current over there, and it'll all come down to who can get off this start well.
Yep.
I might throw my hat in the ring for a general recall today, Paulie.
That's
big race. We all might get a little bit eager today. Tide will hold them back a little bit, but we're only early in the flow at the moment.
I reckon they're looking pretty timid at the moment, so I'm going to go clear start.
Clear start.
And quick winner for us today, Dolly.
Well, I won't pick either of the 2 main players. I think they might sail a race within the race and you know, sail boat on boat. I'll go our good mates on the Cunninghams, mate.
That's a good call.
Nick and the boys.
I'm going to back my little buddy in, and I'll give him the curse, and I'm happy to do it. I really want to see the Moonin boys do well today.
They'll do well.
I mean,
been quite a disappointing season for them, Paulie, and
they've almost. I think they lost the States on a count back, second in the Nationals. But the one thing is, knowing sailing with Ruffy so long, the club championship is a big thing. It's a lovely thing that I never got walking into the club and seeing your photo straight on the wall.
Yeah, it's nice to walk in and see that. Jimmy's had that a couple of years in a row. So down where they're positioned, we've got Typhoon to weather of Moonan. Moonan looking a little bit buried underneath red pumps.
I'm liking the
And
Cunninghams
Shred.
at this end, actually.
Cunningham's at the boat. Nick loves it up here.
Moonan just popping out there now.
Lovely,
Fires.
lovely start from the fire stopping, Jimmy. You'll be happy to see that.
Call it off now.
Great job from Alex positioning himself down near the pin there, and
Looks like
he was the closest to the line when the gun went.
the Moonan got a good start there, but the Cunninghams up the top look like they've got a nice high line early, don't they?
Good height, good speed,
They've
clear
got some
lane.
wheels already, don't they? Look at
Yeah,
that.
mate.
Wow.
The way they're sailing that boat at the moment is unbelievable.
Just watch, you've got contemporary pools on your hip here, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
for-
Bernie's got a
let you know.
WD-40 up his knees to tack to get to us, mate.
So we've had Altus and Bartley tack out early to get some clear air. We've got someone just gone in the tide right down the leeward end. We'll be able to see them
White
sort of in
boat
the
there.
middle of your screen now. White boat near the yellow mark.
It's either the Shebang or the Outback Marine, I think.
Outback's upright.
Okay.
The leeward there.
Oh.
It is Musto. Hugh Stoddart and the boys. They might have even hooked that mark, I think.
I think that they probably
Got
have
that
it.
written all over it.
So the Moonan's doing really well, punching out here to the front. There'd be the boat in that group of three. There you go. We can just see their bow around the front there. However, as Dolly alluded to earlier, it's about trying to get this tack out here. Because if you get someone tacks under your bow, breaking that lead bow coming back into the point is actually really, really difficult.
Yeah, and a few boats bailing out early just so that they're not really the best way to go, but you're going to have a clear lane. So by the time you punch back in again, well, at least you won't be messing with other boats.
The fire stopping showing some good wheels down the bottom there, though.
Yeah, you're going to be hard to get out of there, though, Paulie. They're going to have to wait for the others to go.
Yeah, got some serious big hitters right on their hip there that they got to.
And it looks like the Moonan's just sort of waiting to try and avoid anything with the Typhoon here.
Yeah, Typhoon just out of your shot on the left there now.
Ruffy's a bit worried that Nathan's rudder won't work again.
So,
Sorry about that, Dave.
Typhoon and Moon and Simo tacking there. Sail Racing going the furthest to the rocks. That's them just tacking now.
This lane out is always one that you can try and pick, however, because you've got such a little bit of water before the cliff face, if you can time it with the puffs rolling well, you can really just keep on hooking up into gusts here, can't you?
Yeah.
It's a spot where if you get it wrong, you can lose out, but if you get it right, you can make some really big gains, and you just keep on. So even the boats leading everybody out here, like you'd expect to see the Moonan hit this pressure here and possibly start sailing around the Sail Racing bow.
But it's a lot more in the north, so like where they could traditionally punch right up into the bombies as such, it's not really there. It's there in patches, so
It
it's
is
a bit
very
more in the
patchy,
north.
Jimmy.
Last week we had a lot more true northeast, and I think it played out that way. I'm still living in the past like I always have.
And yeah, you can see Typhoon. They're not in a bad position. They're just below fire stopping, but Moonan sort of having a more controlling position where they can keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
And I am liking where Cunningham's are at the moment. They've found a clear lane. They're out in the current a bit more, but they've got clear air. You can see them at the top of your screen there.
And they'll probably be able to pick a nice lane back to this funnel that comes along this Dobroyd shoreline.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll pick a nice ley line to just clear across the front of the headland here, I think. So yeah, clearly you can see Moon and the weather of Typhoon, and you know we'll be talking about those guys a lot today because that's where the race is at today. They're duking it out.
It's basically
for the
whoever
championship.
beats who. Yep, that's it.
Because they've both got two big numbers for one of their drops.
Yep.
So there's no try and sail someone back through the fleet and rely on a better drop. It really is whoever can stay in front gets it's a chockies. And I mean, if they push themselves right back and the red pumps red do really well, then
There is a slim
may
chance.
play into it. But
Yep.
I mean, I think they'll have to be back in about 10th or so. So
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely. Barring collisions, breakages, anything can happen in a skiff race, can't it, Paulie?
yeah. So the Moonan's got a nice line here. They'll push out this way a little bit and look for a bit of heading pressure. You'll probably head back into the shore on that lane back when, there we go, they tack.
There they go now. Lovely overhead shot from the drone. Thank you, Piers.
You'll just see the bow pop out a few times here too as they get picked up by a few little runners. And Gus on the main sheet will just pump that bow back down and they'll just squeeze a little bit more height out of it all the way across. So it looks like Moonan are ahead, doesn't it?
Yeah, they've certainly done very well there. We'll see when they converge back at the headland here, but they've got themselves in a nice controlling position.
And there on screen, the race winners, first and second, I think, a couple of times last week, Sutek and Sail Racing.
I think last week Sarah steered the Sutek.
She did. Her and Josh with Felix Daviaro had a very good race. One of the racers got a second.
Yeah. Sarah seems to be able to jump on any boat and make it go quick.
Yeah.
Someone sign her up. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Someone needs to sign her up. And I'll be your agent, Sarah. Only charge 20%.
20% of nothing sounds like a good deal, Doc.
I think he's implying that she's hot property here. There's Sail Racing there. Lovely shot from the drone from above. We can see there that the boys are all at full stretch with a little bit of ease as this breeze just continues just to slightly increase.
And you look at the technique and how it's changed from our days, like with their, they don't interlock as much, and
it's called fitness, Jimmy.
I know. But
but it's also they're working the gunnel more now. So we used to lock legs and pretty much, make small adjustments. You'd take a shuffle back when there was a big wave coming and stuff. Now,
you really get the forward hand driving that bow down into the waves a little bit. All it is a sort of roll onto that front foot, and you really notice it.
Yeah, when Matty Stenter's on, he's dancing around that gunnel like a rap dancer.
You got to calm him down a little bit sometimes, that kid.
Yeah, he's hyperactive. Hyperactive. So, you can just see we've got Sutek on screen there now.
I'd say they're probably pretty close to third, the Sutek boys.
Yeah, doing well.
And then it'll be, I reckon, and pretty close between the Moonan and the Cunninghams. The Cunninghams just got an absolute rocket on that boat at the moment.
She goes.
Well, they've barely done any sailing together, so I think they're only going to improve, which is a bit of a scary thing for the rest of the fleet.
Yeah, they better watch out.
The thing is, Alex is off overseas at the end of the season, and I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. So Alex Chittenden on the sheet there.
They haven't been past us, so I didn't see, but on our list we've got Mikey back steering the Sutek, is he?
No, Mikey's still gallivanting around America.
So that's what I thought. So I was wondering who's on the helm today, do we know?
I saw Felix around, Felix Daviaro, so I know he sometimes jumps on and steers, but I'm not 100% sure, sorry, Dole.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on them at the top mark. I'll be able to tell who it is. If it's Felix, you can usually pick either his long blonde hair or his captain's hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just looking back from, that's our wash you're looking at there. Just zooming in. Yeah. So that gives you a good overview of where everyone is, and we've got a couple of standout boats already there.
It looks like the Moonan.
Here comes a close cross with Moonan and Cunninghams.
It looks like the Cunninghams.
Moonan in front of Cunningham's.
Wow.
But the Cunninghams heading out to the traditionally favoured side of this course now, once you get up into this area.
And Ruffy's just flopped over to go and give chase. So a wise move, I think. Looks like there's a little bit of pressure coming over from this left-hand side. Cunningham's really getting through the water nicely.
And then the Sail Racing's pushing up towards them as well now too.
Yep. So at the moment it looks like we've got Cunningham's, Moonan both very close. We've got Sail Racing in the mix. We've got Sutek in the mix.
Be interesting to see how close Ruffy Tax is, Mark.
And Typhoon not looking in a great position at the moment. I would put them in about probably 9th place, I think. We'll see what we get this
late
top
single digits is my
Yeah.
rough working style.
So they got a little bit lost in that second half of the work there.
We just had a change of lead. Cunningham's clear ahead of the Moonen now. Looks like they're on quite a skinny lay there, though.
Yeah. No, they've got a nice little high mode. They'll squeeze through there. We're just looking straight down there now. You can see they're laying that. No doubt, Paulie. Have faith, son.
And this will be interesting here because we know the Moonen hasn't been their normal super quick self upwind. However, downwind is something special
slippery
to watch. It's a little bit scary how quick the Moonen goes downhill at the moment. So, but with this course, so it's a little bit different because you all get compressed up a little bit. You need a little bit of a gap when you get into that point to ensure you get clear air.
Yeah, there's a little bit of luck involved at the top here too, whether you come around and get that puff, don't get that puff.
Yeah.
Someone rolls you, you get in a bit of traffic.
So
There's certainly a bit of luck involved. You know, Ruffy. So Moonen and Cunningham's, they've set there and they're down pressure. They haven't picked up a good gust. So hopefully they'll be driving down on the rocks there they'll pick up a bit of pressure at some point. So Sail Racing third, Sutek fourth.
with Felix steering, Felix Daviara.
It is, yeah. Capital Brewing in fifth. That's a good first beat from them. Then Sarah Lee and Imey, Fluid, Red Pumps.
What a surprise, they're close together.
Botany, getting a bit messy on Botany there. Oh, and the Southerly even more messy.
The Southerly's
With
got
Zoe Dransfield
they've got
steering
the rock
Southerly.
star on the back of the Southerly.
Zoe's back.
The fire stopping, trying something I don't know what. And then the Typhoon.
With a little bit more north in this breeze compared to last week, it is get yourself down to that shore. I know last week the jibe out early was paying big dividends, but
Thought we were going to have one of Shippo's kumquats just cut through the fleet just then, but they backed off.
Well, he's at their annual luncheon tomorrow.
The
Dole,
kumquat.
so he's
Club kumquat.
yep.
is he taking them a little gift that he had to throw at them during the JJs?
On screen there now, the Bartley looking messy. Come on, boys, get it together. Yeah, back on board. We're good now.
There on screen, the Cunninghams still managing to hold their lead.
Outback Marine and then Musto next to round after stubbing their toe.
Looks like the Outback Marine is the only boat on a little rig out here as well.
Fireball looks pretty small.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jimmy.
Actually, it
Fireball,
definitely
little rig,
does.
yeah. Employment hero on the big rig.
Talk him into that, Dol.
I said to him, go whatever everyone else has got up, boys. Go with the flow.
Well, I mean, this breeze hasn't really pushed through as much as we thought, but it still could be a day where you could be right with your rig for half the race, I think. I think some of them might get a shot coming up in the third time.
So looking down there, so that's Capital Brewing with the red kite, Ivy with the orange, followed by Fluid with the blue, and the two red pumps boats, red Spinnaker, you can see on screen.
And the Cunninghams looks to have cleared out in the front there, not on screen, but they've really built a nice gap on the Moonen.
Yeah, just seeing those, that chasing pack, so you're looking at the boats that are in sort of
Lovely job.
4th through to 6th and 7th.
Yeah.
Looking from behind there, you've got Ivy and
Red Pumps Red.
And the red pumps red.
So, do you think they're sort of staying away from Millhead a little bit, Dolly, to stay out of that washing machine down near the start, stay in the flat water up the top?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you can use the current to your advantage now on the downwind. Remembering we are going all the way down into Balmoral today, which we haven't done for quite a while. And as you both know, it's very, very tricky decisions to make down this end of the bay sometimes.
It is, especially with this incoming tide. It can play a few mind games with you. Because you can get it right one time and do the same thing and then end up out the back door.
Yeah, yeah. One jibe off the pressure, and when the racing's this close, and things can change very quickly.
So there's been a bit of movement up the front end of this fleet. We've got the Cunninghams on screen, but I think they're going to have a tight cross with the Sail Racing coming back.
Yeah, Sail Racing have done well, as it's a bit hard for me to see.
Sutek boys have done really well. Sutek just pushed right up to the stern of Moon and have almost got them locked in on the shore.
So you've got the cross on screen there now, and Cunningham's has crossed quite comfortably in front of Sail Racing.
They're taking a nice line out of there too, aren't they? Just right down the back of the bus, max pressure, they're looking pretty solid.
Picked up that little gust that we were talking about that you want to get.
Yeah.
And Sail Racing is also on that pressure. There's an overhead shot showing they're both on a pretty deep angle there, which indicates they've picked up some pressure. Felix, you can see top of your screen just jiving now to give chase.
And surprisingly, it's the Moon that's been the big loser down here, downwind.
Yeah, which is uncharacteristic for them.
Yeah.
They've got the dream team on board today.
Yeah, they got old banana fingers up the front who works the chute harder than anybody you've ever met.
That's right.
So they should be. I didn't get to have a chat to Matty today, though. You know, it might have been out sampling the local establishments last night.
Look, at the moment they're where they need to be, though, right?
Exactly right. They're sort of take it safe. But as we've seen the whole time, though, with this typhoon boat, they're very good at shipping their way back through these fleets, just gradually. They never go for gold. They just rely on their speed and just gradually work their way back through.
So, yeah, nice jibe from Moonen there. So we've seen Moonen just in behind Sail Racing and the Cunninghams, and they've all jibed onto a good vein of pressure. They're probably above the ley line at the moment. They're going to have to stick another jibe in.
Assuming the Moon saw the boat was for a badge during the week as well. I know they broke a D1 on this rig last week, so they'll have to have replaced that, just get everything checked over. Cunningham.
So yeah, as I said, Cunningham's, you've just seen them jibe. They need to jibe. They weren't laying that mark, so they've had to jibe again.
Cunningham's having to flog here to get behind Sail Racing. Another change to the lead.
So Sail Racing into the lead, Paulie.
Sail Racing keeping their form from last week. But they've got a bit of a tricky manoeuvre here. Yeah, they're going to have to do 2 quick jibes, possibly down speed. It gets a little bit puffy down here, doesn't it?
Yeah, Nick back on starboard, but Sail Racing will have
wait till you see what's going to happen here, boys.
Oh,
yeah, there's going to be a bit on here with some aforementioned Sea Scouts. But those Sea Scouts are on port tack, Jimmy. And that works Cunningham's favour.
And then Ruffy on the Moon in here has just threaded the needle.
Incredible stuff there, Bob.
That was very well done from those boys. Have done all 3 boats here have done extremely well, and then the Sutek there just getting a green cherub coming straight at them.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, these guys seem to be able to tie knots, but they're not sure about their port and starboard.
Well, I'm sure that's one of the first things they learn.
Problematic.
It looks like this bottom mark too, Dolly. It's sort of really soft on the sort of starboard ley line coming in, so everybody's sort of pushing for this jibe drop.
Doing a bit of zigging and zagging.
Yeah.
So there's the late drop on the red pumps, which having a spinnaker chute they can do that, but it's not playing the game. We've got Imey on screen there. Jibe, drop, capsize. That manoeuvre's called.
Is that one of your from the playbook of the Dolly?
Yeah. I think in don't they call that a Chicago or something with capsize. Fluid building next round. They're having a good race.
Chad Beebe filling in on that.
Yep, Chad having a steer as we mentioned with Clint away and Capital Brewing next around, and then we finally see the Typhoon. So what place is that, Paulie?
I think they're about 10th still.
Yep.
I can do some counting now. Yeah, sort of 9th or 10th, I think, Dolly.
Yeah. So yeah, we're still looking at this. There's a bit of action at this bottom mark.
It's going to be.
Sure.
I think there's a little bit more coming too. Phil Cook is taking a hotline in here. He's about to pop on screen with a blue shoe.
Shebang.
Shebang is shebang. They've gone. They've capsized right in front of Employment Hero. Altus managed to squeeze in between.
I think the Altus got lucky that the shebang went down then, didn't they? Oh, and now we've got the Musto.
Musto didn't see shebang there.
Oh.
They're going to join the party. Unfortunately, yep.
So the shebang's in the unfortunate position now where they almost have to wait for the Musto to get up before they can pop up.
We love to bring you the action, viewers. We just talk about them and they fall over. So we had Employment Hero, now the Bartley. All these boats sneaking inside Shebang and Musto.
And the two little rigs.
Two little rigs. We've got Outback and Fireball. And, you know, they could come into play a little later. Is that, with the blue spinnaker you can see on the left, that's Botany.
They must have come unstuck somewhere.
Unstuck in a big way.
Is Jared on the boat today?
Jared's away. I think you'll find Tim Lake is filling in on the bow there.
Well, he's a worthy replacement. Jared's hard, big shoes to fill, but
The biggest.
But don't be confused by the orange chute coming around. That's Eric's from Middle Harbour, who's they basically do almost the same course as us.
the former IME,
Yeah.
that boat, has gone to Middle Harbour. Harry and Nathan. So we've got Shebang back up and going.
And the Musto still is floundering around
Musto's
down
still
there.
in trouble. So we're just going to try and find our way through a bit of traffic. So yeah, we're just looking down. It's a bit hard to pick who you've got. There's Shebang on screen there now.
It's a sight you don't see too much these days. Skipper out on the wire.
The big fella on the wire.
The ever shrinking end. And
So they've recovered from that swim and giving chase again. Employment Hero.
Ducking and weaving.
it's a bit, yeah, it's a little bit of a pinball machine for the boys down this end, isn't it? Or boys and girls, sorry. Having to navigate sort of another fleet who aren't generally used to having to deal with boats passing at that speed, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and they've just turned up for their big regatta of the year without a lot of racing experience, I think.
It's good to see people getting involved in sailing.
That's
And, you know, that's what we want to encourage. And
Totally, Jimmy.
you know, like hopefully we get another big movement of the likes of the Bowens, the Perrys,
Burgers.
the whole lot. You know, come from the Sea Scouts and come and join us at the.
It'd be great.
It's all about getting people on boats. Doesn't matter what they're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. On screen there, the Fireball. They're looking still pretty comfortable with the little rig in, aren't they?
Yeah.
Doesn't look like they're searching for pressure.
Yeah. The young fellas doing a great job.
That's one thing I got out of the JJs a lot last week, guys, was the younger guys coming through, and you know, it wasn't always about the top guys. It was you know, there was a lot of personal achievements from the younger guys, and you know, we see the same in the 16s with the young guys that we've got coming through and stepping up from 13s and other classes, and it's good to see, and the camaraderie that they have with the more experienced guys is quite a sight to behold.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you know, Jimmy, you know, a lot of those younger guys that are sailing the 18s and the 16s I've had a lot to do with over the years, and you know, they're a bit of a different generation to the, let's say, well, not just age-wise, to some of our more mature skiff sailors. They've got a different attitude.
Yep.
They've got a real fire in their belly, and although they respect, you know, the Nathan Wilmots and the Roughies, they see them as an opponent. They're not scared to take them on. Yeah, they're battle hardened. They've come through the junior classes. They're battle hardened. They jump into a skiff, and to them, it's no prisoners. They're not intimidated.
Well, I think it's the thing that we see as well from them, and they can pull off a good result every so often, push right up the top end of that fleet. It's just the consistency across conditions and doing everything that these more experienced guys have. And as Jimmy was saying, it's all about hitting personal targets. Set a goal for the year. What do you guys want to achieve? It might be, I want to get top 3 in a race or something, or it might be, I want a top 10 in the regatta. And I think that's a really important thing from all that come through, because a lot of them were the rock stars in the juniors, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the whole thing is you come to the 16s and you're dealing with a whole fleet of rock stars.
It's a big step back.
I think there's quite a few flying 11 national champions in this fleet.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got to try and, you're sort of competing against yourself. Yeah. Who's 4 years older than you, 8 years older than you, 12 years older. I agree with you. They're coming in with this attitude that we want to shake things up, and we're not just here to make up numbers. We want to give it a red hot go.
It's great to see. Great to see them mixing it up.
And then you chuck a few Olympic gold medalists in there as well, and it makes it even harder for them.
Yeah, so you're looking down on Typhoon there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Typhoon fluid. They've clawed a little bit back, let's say, but they're still not where they need to be.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. If Ruffy just goes for a sort of loose cover kind of situation, which he's not really doing at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think you've still got to sail your own race a little bit here.
Yeah, so looking on screen there now, we've got Felix and the boys on sail racing, and I think they're sailing the track that Paulie and I would like to see all boats sailing. But Nick and Moonen went a little bit further out towards the middle. You can see Cunningham's in your top left screen there now. He's still leading.
And you can
he's extended.
And he's leading Moonen back to the left-hand side, the left-hand favoured side of the course.
You might see up in this top corner too, Dolly, the crew's just bending a tiny bit. And often it's not a lack of pressure. It's them just trying to lift up, because you really want to get these gusts going over the hill.
Yeah, well, you can see the darker patches there on screen. That's not deeper water, that's wind on water, and that's what they're trying to link up, is those puffs. And
it's sort important. It often is the sheet hand's job in these situations to go, hey, feel the weight in the main, and then really think about how you're going to link up the puffs. So there's a lot of communication between sheet hand and skipper in this, and then also the forward hand often giving you a bit of a long-term plan what's coming, if it's worth pinching up and sacrificing a bit of speed early, or running away to the puff in front.
Well, my old forward hand just to give me words of encouragement.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good. I remember it well, Jimmy.
Yep.
So you can see the distances there now. So sail racing just behind Cunningham's. Bit of a gain to sail racing there, but Cunningham's still holding the lead, and then about the same distance back to
it's probably
to Moonen.
And I'll tell you what, Typhoon's on the marks. I think they're up to about 6th now.
Yeah, we're just looking the same, Jimmy. They've
on screen though, you can just see Moonen getting one of those high puffs right now, and you'll just see the one thing you do get in this corner, when you get one of them, you normally get a few more afterwards. And you can just see them just lifting out on the sail racing a little bit there. Would have liked to have seen Gus do a bit more squeeze to get to that next gust a little bit earlier, but it's, you really want the high lines coming over the hill.
That's Ruffy's favourite high mode, right? He can squeeze when he wants to.
It's all about it's how hard you work in those situations, unfortunately.
Yeah. But stepping out into some nice, I can see why they're hanging on to this port tack. They've got some really nice pressure filling over to Ed Head, the Cunninghams. So normally not the more favoured part, but what we're sailing at the moment is pressure. So they're just trying to stay in the pressure. Cunningham's just flipping over.
On screen, the Bartley, they're coming down on their first run here. The Bartley's currently coming second in the club champs, so I don't think they can get to first, and I don't think they can lose second. So they'll be looking for a nice race win today and show a clean set of heels from where they are there.
Yeah, so just while we're looking at the 13s there, the Ebix has the title pretty much in the bag. Looks like they're coming second in the race currently.
And then in the 13s, the big race is actually on for the third spot of the podium. The Fluid, the Duchess, and the Botany, all separated by 1 point total. So whoever gets a win out of those three will manage to jag that third position, which I'm sure a few of them set as goals to get on the podium for a couple of these things earlier in the year.
Yeah, so that's our club championship. More than likely club championship winner, Ebix, on screen. So that's James and Gemma Hopkins.
They've really sort of shown a clean set of heels in all regattas this year, haven't they, Dolly?
Yeah.
We caught up with James, chat with him during the Nationals, and he's actually speaks very well and very motivated to try and, he definitely wants to step up to a 16, and, he's got big ambitions. I don't think he has a backward step, that kid.
No, he's very confident.
You're negotiating his deals as well?
I have coached him for a long time, and he actually, as a young fella, crewed with my son Will back in Manly junior days. But he's looking to step up even as soon as next year, Jimmy.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And would you think he'll be a crew? Because he can steer as well, can't he?
I think he'd like to steer.
The height of him, you'd have to put him on the hill, mate. He'd be useless for you on the wire, how short he is.
I saw him for the first time today before the race and had a quick chat. He's not the biggest bloke, is he?
No. But he can steer. So, that's just some of the 13s you can see on screen there now, heading down wind. Great pictures, and now we're back onto the 16s, and you can see Sail Racing.
Sail Racing has really closed up just to the left of that shot there. There they are, Cunningham's. They've really closed up on the back of Cunningham's.
You can see the cross there now.
I think
Cunningham's going back on port tack.
I think in this race, though, it seems the Cunningham's got the wheels on them upwind, and then the Sail Racing looks to have
and especially in that middle section, right?
Yeah, where they can really use the height on their boat and swing it down, and as we've seen, the way that they're sailing their boat is absolutely amazing upwind. And I think they'll be happy it's an upwind finish.
Yeah, because that could play to their advantage, that's for sure. So you're looking at Moonen just throwing in a tack.
Nice tack there from the boys.
To get back. They'll probably sail to a ley line now. Sail Racing carrying on a little bit further.
I'd say Sail Racing's almost got the lead back here. They've got a really nice left-hand puff they're about to hit and tack in.
Bit of pressure there for them. You can even see that in our shot. You can see that darker water.
That's an even better tack on that boat than the last one, I think.
Here comes the cross.
Very close.
He'll have to dip Cunningham's there, but he's already a tack up on Cunningham's. They're going to get to this starboard ley line shortly. Very close.
Yeah, and it all comes down to management there, doesn't it, Dol?
Yeah.
I think I like the Cunningham's laying back in here too. They're going to get a little bit of high pressure and just sort of eke out a little bit more, I reckon, by the time we get to that ley line.
So just saw a good comparison of the two rig setups just then. Nick, we're up the top of the end of the course here, and it's quite patchy. Nick's still very flat. Doesn't look like that they've changed gears. They've got everything pretty strapped down, still Cunningham bank. Sail Racing looked like they'd freed everything up a bit, had a bit of twist. They even had a bit of open in their jib slot.
I think that's the way the boats sail, though. It looks like the Cunningham plays a lot more main upwind and doesn't rely on that sort of rig to do the work for them. They really drive off the nation.
It's super important for them to change gears even ever so slightly.
Well, I know from last week, when we were getting up to this end of the course, I was sort of trying to go back.
You could smell the beer at the Skiff pub and wanted to keep going.
No, but more so there's a few little gear changes that you sort of made when you came round the point looking at. You'd sort of try and juice up the main a little bit more by letting a bit of canoe out, and also sometimes stomp the board down about another 2 or 3 inches.
Yep.
Just so that you can keep your height through those puffs so you don't feel like you're sliding away from it.
Yeah, there's a lot goes on, isn't there? Like it's a lot of small things to make the big change.
I know.
So here's the battle of the sets. Let's see who can do it best, shall we? Windward set from Cunningham's, and it's gone up well. And
I think we're going to see the moon and with the leeward set too, because of the interesting manoeuvres at the bottom mark.
A little wine glass which should come out on Sail Racing.
So pretty good from all three there, right?
Moon and a bit short on their hoist.
Oh, Matty.
Hold
He'll
it all
get,
for touch.
he'll get that in the jibe, don't worry.
I reckon he'll get it
He'll
before
get it
then.
now.
He's got it already. He's got it already.
I've sailed with him enough to know he'll look at it, lose his mind.
Doesn't understand the word wait or can't.
Cunningham's went round with the best pressure there, though. You can just see, and they've managed to get a bit of depth, which is really important on this first little run, so that you can clear your air for the jibe back.
So Sutek building just rounding there on screen. They just survived that, but they've got a big whiny in the kite as well.
They look like they've got Harry Hall in the middle there, or is it not Harry who also sailed on the with Junior Wilmot? It's very good sail.
Junior Wilmot.
Trying to think, he sailed with Harry on the multi boat. I'll think of it soon, don't worry.
Now
We'll leave that for you.
while you're thinking about that, we've got Typhoon, red pumps and fluid overlaid this top mark by further than you'd expect a gold medalist to.
He's just giving himself a bit more room.
Jeepers, that's a lot. Whereas Capital behind them has tacked on a much skinnier line and will make a huge gain.
So the Typhoon's a really big mover out of this group, though, isn't it?
So that puts them in 5th, is it, Paulie?
I think they're in 5th, yeah. So,
action on the fluid there on screen. Lovely work from Phil Harmer to get himself into the boat just then.
nice high rounding there, though, from those guys. They're going to be able to jump in front of the red pumps if they can get this chute set quick enough.
So
They've made some good gains back up there too, haven't they, after their little incident at the bottom?
some of these windward sets have been a bit shaky.
Especially with a wet chute.
Yeah. So Capital with a not a bad set.
How quick do you reckon Rob Napper will get that up to the top, Jimmy?
Mate, after we had a swim or any indiscretion, mate, you didn't have to worry about
There you go. He's just got it.
anything. You knew the angry pills were coming,
Yeah.
and he just rip in and get it done. He's
just hope you stop pulling when it gets to the top.
yeah. You just hope you don't start seeing a spinnaker come out of the hole where the cleat is.
So you're looking above from the drone there. Lovely shot of the fire stopping.
Very good race from the fire stopping today. It was a nice set from them then too.
Well, that'll bode well for their looking at that cruise trophy, the handicap trophy for the club championships.
Have they got a different sheet hand on the boat today, Jimmy?
No,
they've got
Lockie's on and Seb's
Lockie
up the
and
bow.
Seb, normal crew.
Doesn't quite look like Lockie.
No,
He might have had a haircut.
Ah.
Been to the groomers. I know his brother's Bucks party was it last week or the week before, and then so the wedding can't be too far away, so he's probably been to hair and makeup.
I didn't manage to get my little brother to have a haircut for my wedding, so he's doing a very nice thing.
so yeah, you can see orange spinnaker on screen there is the Imey, and the red in front of them is red pumps. The blue spinnaker is fluid, and then yeah, and you can just see Typhoon out in front of them with the white spinnaker and the Imagine signage on their spinnaker.
You know, just Scotty and the boys there.
They're working their way through.
They're just chipping away, which is what we were expecting, wasn't it, Dolly?
Yeah,
Nathan doesn't go on fires. He just work away until it gets to a point where he thinks he has to. He's just trusting the speed on that thing. The boat had another skipper on it last week, though. Craig Nichols made his appearance, jumped back on. How'd it go? I don't know what it is about that boat, but he still managed to take out a few people on the start line. He did do quite well. He was a little bit, he wanted to jump back on and see why this thing was going so quick. Nathan wanted to keep it a little bit. Made sure he didn't have the super fast go gear on, but
nice shot of the fluid.
I was having a chat to Phil before the race. I know that he's still doing a lot of work on that main. We got to see it up close and personal last week. They had Mackie on the boat, and it's really coming together, that boat now. They've got getting some good speed back. As we said, there's quite a bit of talent there, and they're starting to get back to where they should be.
So Typhoon, you can see there now, nice trim with Kurt and Sean. Both very good hands. Obviously, Sean currently campaigning the 49er with Jim Colley towards the Paris Olympics and doing very well. He'll be heading, I think he's heading off to Europe on Monday.
He said he got a top 5 at the last Euros, which is very impressive.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Typhoon. You can see off in the distance. You've got them on screen now. So that's Sutek. You can see.
I think it's Will. Is it Will Dargaville?
Oh, Will Dargaville.
I think it is. I think it was him on the Sutek. So we all know he can sail one of these things extremely quick from his days back with Ryan Wilmot.
Yeah, he did.
And he adds a few kgs to that boat, which they often are lacking, which is sort of why you can see them pushing up towards the front of this fleet at the moment.
Yeah, so it looks like Sail Racing, as you thought, very quick downwind. They've pushed in front of Cunningham's. I just saw them jibe, and that's the gap. So it's pretty close still. They're talking about maybe 50 metres at the most.
Doesn't look like there's as much traffic down here for them at the moment either, which should make for a bit nicer rounding.
They're coming in hot.
Yeah. And I think that's just that pressure filling in through the Corso, isn't it, Dolly? It's finally made its way down into the...
It's finally made its way down to Balmoral.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they go with the drops here.
Looks like the Moonan's pushed right back up into both of these boats as well. We're going to see a nice giant drop, and I think we're going to have 3 boats rounding the mark together, with possibly the Moonan up into second. He's got to get that kite in the bag, though. Nice work, Mr. Stenter. Mr. Stenter will get it in there. And
So
he'll be getting a bit of encouragement from Gus there too, I reckon.
So there you are. You could have thrown a blanket over the 3 of them. But then on screen now, Typhoon giving chase. And so we've still got Sutek coming in 4th. So they're in between that leading pack.
The big thing for the Typhoon is these 4 boats up the front will sort of battle with each other a little bit. And Typhoon with clear air will catch up.
Go where he wants to go.
Yeah, and it's how that you've managed to push through into the group. It's always, you can always catch up to the back to a certain point, but making that last little step speed, it's always super difficult.
Do you reckon he's not going to be able to soak down to this mark, though, is he, Paulie? What do you think?
It looks like he's trying to get hot at the moment to give himself a little bit more room.
No, he's going to jibe. He's going to jibe, mate. Yeah, he wasn't going to make that, I don't.
So, yeah, just going fast, give yourself a bit more distance between the jibes.
Yeah.
And he's got a little bit of traffic in front of him here too.
So that's Red Pumps giving chase behind Typhoon. They'll have a nice slick drop here with the spinnaker chute. No problem for them. Couple of Sea Scouts. Bit of Sea Scout action at the bottom mark here, as we've seen each time. Blue spinnaker.
Fluid and Imey coming in hot. Chad giving our little mate Berkey the hardest job in the world just here.
Oh, Berkey's the fittest he's ever been at the moment. He's like a finely tuned athlete.
The thing is, he's got the master behind him, so he better be onto it.
Oh, and Berkey would be loving it though in front of Napper.
Made it look easy.
Yeah.
There's a port tack. Sea Scout boat.
The rounding from the Imey just then was super impressive though, wasn't it? You just saw how much they gained by being able to do the jibe drop.
Yeah. Capital Brewing next around with Red Pumps red hot on the heels.
Well done to the Capital Brewing. We saw them up the front. They're staying up there for this race, which is really good. Nice little round up soon to be good, Jess.
Yeah, a bit late on that drop there, guys. Cost them the Red Pumps red getting through. And they're still tidying up, so that was a bit of a costly drop for the Capital Brewing. That's that problem with that leaving that lay line and not giving yourself enough room on the jibe drop, not giving your crew enough time.
But the breeze being a little bit more around to the north, and we haven't sailed this course much this year. You know, people's picks where their lay lines normally aren't the same today. You know, they're little bit out of whack, and you know, you're suffering the consequences with either coming in too hot or you got to do a little Z jibe like we've seen some of
Typhoon
those
did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one for the younger people in the fleet too, Jimmy, because we used to do this course every second week almost.
Yeah.
And now with we're doing a little bit more short course racing. You're lucky to get on it 5 times a year.
Yeah.
So,
Things have changed, yeah.
and as we said, you can almost sail this with your eyes closed, but it's sort of muscle memory. So you can see some of them are losing a little bit based off the other courses that we've been doing lately.
There's my young bloke Will with Alistair and George on the Employment Hero. They're not doing too badly, probably in about 10th spot.
They're going around again next year, Dole?
Yeah, they plan to, Jimmy. They're pretty happy with how things have gone this year, and hopefully Ben Thompson from the Employment Hero will continue to support them.
Because Will's almost in a battle with Flano to be the tallest skipper ever of a 16, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
He's what, 6'4", 6'5" now?
Yeah,
he's probably still got a bit more growing in him too, doesn't he?
I think he stopped growing, but he's about 6'5". I'm 6'2.5", and he passed me when he was about 15. So Alsa's just had a little swim at the bottom there. Jimmy's just doing his best to navigate his way through a rather busy middle harbour here at the moment. Bear with us.
It's good fun.
The brace on your arm is not telling us it's good fun, Jimmy.
We've got plenty going in on off screen at the moment, I can tell you. So yeah, they were. So Employment Hero were followed by Botany Access, Altus, Shebang, Outback Marine.
The Botany's done well to push back through the fleet a little bit there, though, haven't they? With Big Tim Lake swinging it down at the front, he's got a few kgs on Jared, I'd say, which will help him up in his next work just a little bit.
Wouldn't hurt today.
I reckon he's got a solid 30 on Jared.
Yeah.
You can just see down the bottom of this course too, everyone's taking sort of a similar lane, coming across, taking the lane back to Grotto, trying to get that tide under your bow where it sweeps around the point, wouldn't you, Dole?
Yeah.
And then you prevent, if when it's an outgoing tide, you go away to the other side of the course and try and get it to shoot you out to the harbour. The battle up the front looks to have gotten a little bit closer though.
Yeah, fantastic racing. It's on
Screen.
Yeah, on screen at the moment is that's fire stopping, I think, isn't it? And the IMI, get IMI on screen. They're just close to Grotto Point. Sarah picked there they are now. Sarah picked a really nice line coming out of Middle Harbour here. Managed to stay in pressure. It's very easy to get over towards Grotto Point here, and
It's very easy to have an angry sheet hand.
saying what the hell are you put us here for? But yeah, they read that pressure really nicely. Rob probably giving Sarah information on what the breeze is doing, and they're getting through the water very nicely. So they're giving chase to Red Pumps, who aren't far behind Sutek, and Moonen, who have taken a bit more of a left-hand side track into the Bombora, while Sail Racing and Cunningham's, they've sort of straight lined it from Grotto Point. They're not worrying about getting back into the left yet. They're just worrying about staying in pressure, I think.
It just looks like the Sail Racing and the Cunninghams have just got a bit more upwind speed on them, which is a little bit surprising, because you'd guess that the Moonen is the bigger crew out of the three of them as well.
Yeah, and we are up range, so but quite often we've seen them on opposing tacks. Someone's got to be right and someone's got to be wrong. Very rarely you're on opposite tacks and you're both right. Isn't that right, Paulie?
Wow. If you've got speed, you can go wherever you want, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw them round second there, and the Cunninghams has done a bit of damage to them, haven't they? And, I actually like where the Cunninghams is heading here, looking a bit further up the course. They've got a really nice bit of pressure that they're heading straight towards, coming around Dobroyd. If Nick can time his tack here really well, I think it should be pretty soon. There we go. He's just he's gonna catch this pressure exactly where you want to.
Yeah, where it's top of the picture, you could see Sail Racing.
Here we have the ABIX on screen now from the 13s.
Sail Racing probably let Cunningham's off the hook there a little bit and gave them an opportunity, but we'll see what Sail Racing comes back with. I'm sure Felix.
Another boat you know a bit about there, Dolly.
On screen, yeah, the Botany Scaffold. So it's my daughter Bella Devola with Sophie Hart steering.
They're just in front of Duchess on the course, Dol.
They look like they're about 4th or 5th at the moment as well in the race.
Yeah, so as Jimmy mentioned earlier, we've got that battle for 3rd place.
Was it spoken much at the dinner table last night?
Not at all,
Or
mate.
do they just like to go out and try and win races and have a bit of fun?
Mate, once the rugby league season starts, my daughter is focused on one thing, and that's football.
What, Tom Trebojevic?
But yeah, she plays a bit of footy, and she loves her Sea Eagles and rugby league.
Great win on Thursday to the Sea Eagles.
Great, she was there. And so yeah, we were talking before, we're just looking on screen there now. Maybe a little bit of a gain to the Cunninghams there. I think Felix let him off the hook, but he's not letting him off the hook this time because he's going to slam attack right in front of him.
Because there's a bit of extra spice between the Sail Racing and the Cunninghams, you know. Young Chintz on the Cunninghams is very, very good mates with Tom Potter. I think they lived together for quite a while, might still do as well.
Next door neighbours.
Just hearing next door neighbours. So I know that they both, sort of the Sail Racing's had the wood on them for quite a while, but this new Cunninghams is really putting pressure on them a lot more and managing to jag quite a few more wins at the moment.
So good mates with a healthy rivalry.
I think it's very healthy rivalry. They also have the crab versus scorpion battle, which we won't go into too much right now.
Probably don't mind catching up at the club afterwards. We're just getting told from behind that they don't mind a beer or 3.
It's an interesting one here. The Cunninghams are trying to, looks like, lock the Moonin away a little bit. I think Ruffy will just be trying to disengage from anything like that. He really will just want to sail his own race and make sure that there's a certain boat behind him doesn't push up.
Yeah, well, what he will want to be doing is putting Cunningham's in between him and Typhoon.
As many boats as he can.
As many boats as he can. So at the moment he's got Sutek in there nicely, in a nice position in between.
Because the interesting thing with these points, when we were sort of looking at them before, the Typhoon's got an average points in there. So it's 1 point different at the moment, but if they get a place better than 5th, then their average points is going to come down, which then means the Moonin almost has to beat them, have a boat in between instead of just beating them over the line.
Yeah, you want to have a boat, at least a boat in between, just to have that confidence.
Yeah, they can almost, no more protests or anything like that if the Moonin can pull that off.
Well, we better just go on and win it and leave Typhoon where they are, right?
Or win. You always want to go for the win. I think the Sail Racing, though, on that far shore, on screen here, they have just hit a very nice lane of pressure.
Yeah,
it looks like they're about to disappear into the sunset a bit like last week.
Yeah, they're on. Yeah, you're looking down on Sail Racing there now, but
their bow did just drop just then, though, didn't it, Dolly?
and you'll see soon Cunningham's will come into shot. There they are now, and they're up on port tack. So I'm not so confident you're right, Paulie.
I don't think I am either, Dolly.
I reckon Nick picked that beautifully. He found a nice lane of lifting pressure.
Here we've got the Moonin on screen. They're working the traditional side of the course down this end. There does feel to be a little bit more pressure coming down this side, doesn't it?
Yeah, running down the rocks.
I'd be thinking about taking one back into this shore, but
so you can see the distance in the cross there now between 1st and 2nd. Sail Racing back to Cunningham's.
It was interesting that we got to have a look at the Moonin rig setup too. They're sailing with a lot less vang than I'm used to seeing them do.
Bit of twist.
A lot more twist, and
Yeah.
I know Gus likes to work off that, mate, so a little bit more bang might help those boys out, I reckon, in this bit more pressure. Although I do know Ruffy does like to drop the bang through the tacks just to help make it a little bit easier.
And then get it back on.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're watching back later, Ruffy probably just offering you a few free tips.
He can call me Monday, I'll give him some more if he wants.
They're sailing the boat well, though.
Yeah, I mean, all three of these boats, and then as well as the Sutek behind, they're all looking really stable, aren't they?
Great performance from the Sutek boys. Fill in skipper.
Fill in sheet hand.
Yeah, they're taking it to them.
Josh will be loving it.
Pumped. Pumped the big man.
Josh wouldn't have a beer tonight to celebrate, would he?
Definitely not.
I might have to drop him home. So nice comparison shot there. The Sail Racing and the Cunninghams on screen, split screen for you. And as they come on, they're going to put a tack in so you couldn't get to look at that profile, but that would have been interesting just to compare the two boats. From what I've seen, a lot more depth in the Sail Racing.
A lot softer.
Setup. Yeah. Nick's still flat setup, so he's grinding some height, but Felix is getting through the water very quickly. And it's probably helping him through those down patches a bit.
I think so. I think the Cunninghams are set up for a bit more top end speed.
Yeah.
Then lagging a little bit in the lulls, whereas the Sail Racing's going for a bit more, you know, almost don't want to say easier, but a bit softer.
And they're still super close. This is a great race we're watching today.
Yeah. And we'll wait till we get to the top mark, but it does look like these four boats have cleared out a little bit here, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's the Bartley 13 just flashed across the screen. They're leading the 13s from Cybertech.
Cybertech Group, Theo and Kobe. They've really come along in the second half of the season, haven't they?
And then AWOL right up there, Clacker.
AWOL. Andrew de Montfort and Jake Bentley. Nice smooth rounding there from the Cybertech.
Sail Racing just barging on in.
Just get out of the way, fellas.
They've now got another one in front of them they've got to navigate. Done well though, taking a bit of depth early, trying to make it easy for themselves.
So I think Sail Racing has probably put about 10 seconds on Cunningham's since last time we rounded.
And we're just getting to, in the background there is the Typhoon between the two white shirts. So they really haven't made too much of an impression on these top boats up this one.
So there's Moon and Bearaway. Windward set again. Up she goes and out she goes. Let's snap it. Snap, snap, snap. Come on, boys. Nicely done.
Get to work, to it. You've just been able to rest all the way up here. Work hard.
They got a tear in the chute too, Paulie.
It's down in that bottom corner.
It is, yeah. Still.
I hear everybody talk about low load, high low positions. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm picking that's not a good spot.
Yeah, it's a fair flap of cloth hanging off. Next round we've got the Sutek. The boys are on fire.
They are, aren't they?
And then Red Pumps
that's a lovely set.
in front of Typhoon.
Red Pumps have done very well up there, haven't they? I think Typhoon got them at the bottom, didn't they, Jimmy?
I think so.
A little bit of an ugly tack from those Red Pumps there, but they managed to save it. And you can see the difference between Typhoon and Red Pumps there on screen now. You're probably looking at about 50 to 75 metres.
Yeah, and this group of fours really put a good gap into them now, haven't we? We're looking at like a minute from Sutek to the next boat around. And then probably another 20 seconds up to the Moon and in front of them.
So, Paulie, you're the Minister for Courses. How many times have we been down?
This will be the last time to the bottom.
This is the last one.
Last time to the bottom, and then it'll work up to the finish.
Did you hear the heavy breathing just as we got to the top mark the last time there, Doc?
My hands are actually starting to get sore a bit like last week. Just thinking about having to do another lap.
So Sail Racing on screen in the lead, heading down through the Bombora presently. Lovely line, nice bit of pressure, boats flat and fast. They're doing a great job. Cunningham's and Moonen giving chase. And even as I say that, there you've got Cunningham's on screen now. Felix and the boys on Sail Racing just picked up a nice puff. Their bow went down another 10 degrees there. They're aiming inside Grotto Point at the moment. It won't last, but...
It's a tough one picking this giant angle across here, isn't it?
Yeah, well, especially when you get this bit of north in it, you know, that's showing that there's a bit of north if they're pulling those sorts of angles in this much pressure.
And when you're chasing, you can sometimes think, I'll take a little bit and step out and try and get it, but then so often you see the boat in front get the hot one that just makes it over the hill.
Yeah,
and they're down to your line pretty quick when they get one of them.
They're bow up again now.
The Cunningham's bow down behind them.
They're chasing deep.
The Cunninghams have just got one of the ones we were talking about. It's a bit of a scary position when you're in front here and somebody gets a bit inside.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good lead though.
He does. And he'll get the compression on the point up here and be able to take a nice lane back.
He needs a puff to drive out on. He's in very little pressure at the moment, and Cunningham's are hot.
Cunningham's are fairly late. So bottom there, aren't they? And the Moonham's even hotter behind them.
It's not over yet. Whole lot dear tickets.
Just we're going to stay quiet on what I was going to say.
With some of the chaos we've seen at the bottom mark of late, anything can happen.
Well, I was thinking also some of the chaos we've seen when boats have been in winning positions in championships this year. It's been interesting.
So apologies that we're focusing on this front of field racing today, but with the championship at stake, that's certainly where the focus is. We're always trying to give you numbers of boats rounding further down the field, but we're certainly focusing on the result of this championship.
I think when we talk about the boats further back though, this last time championship race where everybody really throws everything at it to try and do well can really give you a good boost and get you in a good headspace going into next year. You know, like the Sail Racing boys, if they continue the way they're going at the moment, they will have cleaned up the last 3 races against everybody. It's quite a good position to, you know, inspire you to do a little bit more boat work and stuff. And then,
yeah, I don't know whether the Sail Racing boys actually worry about that. They're the most chilled customers in the park, I would say. And just as we say it's never over, a kumquat got in front of them, Jimmy, and nearly put them in the tide.
Yeah,
they're still gathering themselves now, and they're up and running again. That was costly.
A flapping chute in the waves is never much fun, is it? But we just missed it off screen before, but the Moonham's made some big inroads into the Cunninghams down here. Nice tight cross. And you know, if they come up to this lane coming, sort of go out to starboard lane, I'd expect Ruffy to try and throw one on top of them. And
yeah, so you'll see Nick drive. There goes Cunningham's driving now.
It's really smart from Nick not going out to lay there, I think.
Yeah.
Because the Mooner could have just done an easy drive on top, make them follow him in.
Chase him in.
Whereas now Ruffy's going to have the tough line. He's almost committed to having to go all the way over to that lane.
And viewers, you can see that hole in the back corner of the Moon and Kite. It's not really affecting them, but it's about the size of an A4 sheet of paper.
I think they know it's there because, I mean, I've sailed with Matty Stenner and how hard he works that chute. He looks like he's
giving it a pretty easy time at the moment.
He looks like he's on the Comanche pushing the buttons or something like that. We're here in behind the Moon. Lovely lane.
Nice lane, lots of pressure.
Very nice lane.
I think this might be a game to the Moon in here.
The Sail Racing also just coming in soft up in front.
So you can see Sail Racing dropping top of screen.
And you can sort of tell the Moon it's not as hot as they could be. They're not right at the bottom of their strings there. But the Sail Racing taking the scariest point, going square in a skiff with the drop. But the Moon's given the Cunninghams enough room there to get around inside, and they haven't really put the pressure on. Their sort of race is to sort of keep somebody else behind them. That looks like they don't really want to engage too much.
Yeah, they want to stay out of trouble. They've got themselves into trouble before, and that's not the thing to do today. Today's about beating Typhoon and trying to get a couple of boats in between.
Yeah,
and keep it sensible, nothing silly.
exactly.
And that was a good example, you know, nice, timely, didn't put them under pressure in the drop.
Early drop, make sure you get a nice lane back and get that high line.
Sutek just rounding the mark.
They're sailing an amazing race, these Sutek boys. They've really kept these front three are pretty hot at the moment, so they're just managing to hang on to the back of it. I think Big Will Dargaville's probably the fittest out of the three sheet hands in.
Oh, you're harsh.
Everyone in front of him.
That's a pot calling the kettle black, Paulie.
Well,
Plays Bartley 13 coming around.
shown a clean set of heels here today, haven't they?
Yeah, well, the boat that was in second, which was at Cybertech, they just crashed on the jibe, just up near where the middle of screen.
And the white spinnaker you can see there is Typhoon, who still, I think, a bit of a game to the red pumps have put a bit of distance on them. So,
Well, I think the Imey might be pretty close to
Might be
them
in
as
front of
well.
them almost.
so
No,
this isn't. Oh, red pumps have put the curse on them. Jeepers.
the Imey taking an interesting, nice early drop on the Typhoon, but they're going to have to miss the Imey here.
No rights.
No right at all. He's on port.
He's
tack.
still on port jibe.
He's clear ahead. He's all right. He's all right.
That was looking dangerous.
Well, he managed to get away with it then.
Oh, jeepers.
Well, I'd have to say that the Imey there,
Might have stuck their nose in where it shouldn't have been.
wow, they managed to get round. No collisions. Surely they're in the right.
And closely followed, we have the Fluid having a cracker. Chad Beebe doing a fantastic job.
Greg Windus will be thanking Chits behind us for not having him try to get back into the boat just then.
All just rounded in the 13s in second.
So Andrew and Jake in second place in the 13s.
Here comes Red Pumps Red to...
They just can't separate these two boats, can they?
They're always together, aren't they?
If one of them has a good race, they both do. They're first and second, or they're whatever, just one spot apart always.
And I don't think there's any team orders either.
I definitely don't think there are any team orders.
All in.
It's Capital Brewing just jibing there, bottom of the screen.
And the white spinnaker behind them is the Fire Stopping.
Having a blinder.
They are having a great race. They are, Jimmy.
It's interesting to see the boats a bit further back their approach to this bottom mark, if that makes sense, because they're sort of bouncing off other boats in the fleet. We saw the top guys almost pick a lovely lane in from a distance out or a nice jibe drop. These guys have been battling with each other and they can't plan that far ahead down the course because you've got a few more things getting thrown at you.
Yeah, and you got to remember, like a lot of the guys like Alex and so forth, this is probably their first or second time on this course. They went off and did 29ers after flying 11s. The flying 11s don't come down here. So, a lot to learn on this course. I never had anyone fill in for me as a skipper back in the day when we did this course and we went on to have a blinder. It's a very tribal course, isn't it, for the Manly locals?
Very much so. It's a bit like the Belmont boys up at Belmont in the nor'easter. They all can do that course with their
Chubbs
eyes
and
closed.
Southerly.
Chubb's in a bit of trouble here, but they're going to save it.
They're going to want to get it down and get this bear away in quick.
So we had Fire Stopping, we had a Middle Harbour boat thrown in there, then Zoe Dransfield steering the Southerly. Chubbs have got themselves into a bit of strife, spinnaker over the side.
And now they've got the Botany coming straight at them.
And you're also looking down on the Fluid 13. They mistimed that jibe, and now Botany Access coming into the game. Big comeback from those boys.
Very big comeback.
Yeah, they're still not in a great position, but they were super deep.
They were last around the
Yeah.
bottom the first time, I think.
Yeah. If they weren't last, you could see it from there.
And this breeze has kicked a little bit more, hasn't it, Dolly? We're sort of getting up around 18. We'll start to see a few mains inverting through the centre of this course, I reckon.
Yeah, we're on our way home now, though, so they've just got to keep it together for one more beat.
There we go. There's a young fella.
The employment hero, full send.
They know how to send it, those boys, don't they?
They love to send it.
They always have a way of always looking pretty lit up, don't they? Like,
Yeah.
I think they see a bunch of waves coming at them and try and aim for them more than anything else. You know, everyone else is sort of getting a little bit scared. Will sees it, goes, let's see if I can send my crew. How far can I get them round the front?
Fast boats and fast cars, mate.
As long as he stays away from the last fast, you're a pretty happy father, aren't you?
He's definitely one kid that's not going to die wondering, is he?
No, never has.
Wonder where he got it from, Dolly.
Yeah, chip off the old block, mate.
And there we
Real
have
junkie. So we got
the Botany
Botany just jive. They got a bit of a whiny. That hopefully is going to come out. They might want to jive.
It's a bit harder on the 13s because they've got the retriever line in there, doesn't it? And
It
does
really
that have an
ties, it
effect?
does. It really ties it up if it gets tied up. Yeah. Yeah, they got a bit on. So Typhoon there. Just
I think you'll be seeing Big Trent on the Army working pretty hard to get in front of that Typhoon. The Army's also a boat that sort of has had a bit to prove in the second half of the season. They didn't do as well as they normally.
Well, they got a new boat too, probably halfway through the season, so their points just collapse.
But
So
just in general, the high standard that's been set by that team for quite a while, we're knocking on the door, but not part of it for sort of a lot of it.
Yeah, I think with those guys, the lack of having a consistent skipper.
it's a killer.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there might be a bloke that did very well in this nationals back on the back of that thing next year. Someone whose rudder pin sort of fell out.
Might become more of a permanent fixture, do you think?
I've got a strong feeling, yes.
Yeah, I think
Especially if somebody else jumps back on the back of the nose.
Yeah.
He's pretty much, I think, the only bloke that could have kicked Dave off it.
Yeah, the little general.
Yeah. You can see these two boats are throwing a few tacks at each other. They've both got two super fit crews on them. It'll be interesting to see if Nathan just wants to clear his air and really shoot out or engage.
Yeah, I think he's left his run a bit too late today, Paulie.
Wow. Where's the red pumps? Got it.
Remember they had a little,
Yeah, they-
little cooling down the bottom.
So
They
that
had a
means
little dip. So at the moment he's got Sutek in between.
he's got the Sutek buffer. The Sutek is one of Ruffy's old boats, a boat that I had quite a lot to do with. So, you know, the boys will be sort of pushing to try and help out. Someone who's helped them out a little bit, I reckon. There it is.
With not too far to go, we're kind of running out of runway.
Well, we sort of said that at the
Stranger things have happened at the Nationals.
That's sort of what I was hinting at. I wonder if I was looking at that shoot down that run going, God, if this blows apart and he gets another one because of that, it will be very, very lucky. But I mean, you've always got to put yourself in the position to get that luck. You can't take it away from him.
That's right. Yeah, so just looking up the back of the Sutek there with Felix Devario on the helm today in his signature Greek fisherman's captain's hat.
It is, and now with his like little beard he's got going on as well. It's very interesting.
Real crusty old man of the sea.
Got asked by his brother-in-law to jump on the stick. Paulie. Okay, this is my last opportunity to poke a few holes.
Paulie stirring the pot.
Yeah.
So we've got a little bit of separation between the top three at the moment. Back to the Sutec in 4th place there, so they're probably 200 metres behind Noonan at the moment. Now we're looking at the Sail Racing, who they're still comfortably in front, so we'll take a great error of judgment for something to go wrong. But Ruffy looking to throw something at him. He's banging back to the traditional line of sailing over to the Bombora shore, looking for pressure, looking for shifts.
We just got to have a look at the Musto rig from inside the boat. It wasn't on camera. It looks like they're carrying a lot more vang up this one, and they're sort of making a bit more of a dent on the buoys up front.
Maybe they got the live stream going. They
Oh,
might
wow.
have.
Yeah.
Listening to you, Paulie.
Oh, I think Ruffy just wants to make Gus work a tiny bit harder. I mean, Gus had a big week of sailing there last week, didn't he, Jimmy, on the fin port? They get
Saw brilliance and run away from it.
You're saying that I'm having a go.
No, he sailed a great regatta with Keegan York and Phil Marshall on the fin port, and
Fantastic.
just wasn't their week. But they hung in there. They just had
tight cross coming here between the Noonan and Cunningham, isn't it?
yeah, they just had a couple of days which weren't their days. So Gussie was a bit angry at it all, but.
It's the thing that we got to. We were lucky enough to have Lee Napton, the little general, on the boat for the last race of the Nationals. And his big thing is consistency, wasn't it? That's all that he cares about.
Yeah.
He goes, if he was in a mooning position in a race one now, he'd go, I'm happy with the third. But he goes, I never want to get worse than a third in a race. That's the sort of way he looks at it. Whereas Keegan was sort of, he swung for the fences a couple of times in the regatta, didn't he?
Keegan did, but he also did have a lot happening off water, like in his private life. That it was just unfortunate that was the week that it happened. And I thought, they were crowned Australian champions. I believe the guys on hand that did win the JJs. I thought that was that was the right outcome.
Well, they've been to 2-class boats for the last little bit.
Yeah.
Great effort from Keegan in that regatta, and good to see a former 16 sailor mixing it up. But talking about mixing it up, these three boats
This has gone super close,
have
hasn't
just
it?
compressed in this top half of the
And I'll tell you what,
half of the beat. We've still got a bit of racetrack to go too, Paulie.
I'd want to be going left at the moment too.
That'll be the way Ruffy's going.
Yeah.
Oh, you taught him well. Maybe he has got the live stream going on his iWatch or something.
I can tell you one thing, that little fella taught me a lot more than I taught him.
And not only is he coming to this left-hand side,
He's just
we're
got a
looking
huge
at a lot
header.
of pressure. He just got a big header, then he's going to tack on these rocks and have a lifting pressure run out.
And he has a lovely
back
lane
to the
back
centre
that
of
way.
the course.
Work hard, Gus.
And I've said on this live stream, and I've said to a lot of sailors, never leave your wingman, Paulie. You let someone of Ruffy's talents out on a limb and he can get you. Like maybe not this time, but we're in the mix here.
Oh, well, I sort of think as well, though, like the Cunninghams and the Sail Racing, those two, they want a bullet here.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going for. So covering Ruffy, they'd much rather sort of throw something at the boat in front, see what they can do. Sail Racing's done a great job almost sailing them all out to the starboard ley line. It looks like they're all possibly just going to have to follow them in here.
Yeah. No, awesome job from Felix and his crew. They've sailed an exceptionally good race, but wow, we've seen a fantastic race today.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the most lead changes we've seen in quite a while. We sort of had a couple of boats that looked a bit quicker uphill, a couple a bit quicker downwind. These three boats have made it quite nice. Moonan's just extended out a little bit further, hoping to get a god puff off Kilburn Towers. That's where the Flying 11 kids go in there nor'easter, don't they? They love to hit the point up there.
Yeah.
Work the left down the bottom, the right up the top, depending which way the boats are pointing. Here we go.
Cunningham's spinnaker sheets look like builder's string.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to be hanging on to them, do you? Yeah, like a chalk line.
You should have heard Steve Bowen complaining about the Moonin ones last week.
Oh,
Sail Racing.
scrappy tack from Sail Racing. They're going to survive it, but
It's poorly, just getting caught up the front.
we were just saying it's never over until it's over. Lucky they've got enough buffer that they can get away with that.
The Moonin coming in hot on starboard too. They're going to be very close to this Cunningham's. Would have liked to have seen him go bow down at him a little bit earlier. The Cunningham's here should have just slapped one straight in his face.
Yeah, it'll be going now. Here he goes. Oh, Nick's given Ruffy some opportunity
Nick's
there.
giving him a big opportunity. Ruffy's about to hit a nice puff too. Sail Racing through for the win. Lovely race from those guys.
It is close, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Got to give it to the Cunningham's there.
yeah, Cunningham's then Moonin.
And then Moonin.
Fantastic stuff.
Great job from all three boats. That was very good racing.
Shout out to the Aloha over there next to the finish boat.
So
Support boat. There's a few people, a few spectators coming in to get into the action.
is that he's got his brother there. Joe's come out to watch. Of course, if he wins it, Joe's going to claim it as his own. Classic Joey manoeuvre.
Joe with Tash and young Levi.
Yeah.
There's a Sutek coming to the finish.
Lovely job from the Sutek boys today. I hope Steve Bowen's watching, seeing what they can do. Throw a bit more cash at him next year.
We were just trying to get in closer to the
It's close.
to the moon in there, just so we could maybe get a bit of a response from our latest club champions.
So, well, it's a bit closer than we think behind. Actually, the Sutek's just got a lovely gust. Sutek's got about 50 metres to sail. Typhoon going for a bit of a... Looks like they're pushing out to the port ley line. It's a great race from the Sutek today. They look like they've just dropped off that last work. It's
Hung on to the position though. Yeah, I think maybe more than those first three pushed out.
well, knowing Josh and Felix, they probably made a decision that they're not going to go push too far forward. Let's cover off the person behind it and
This is
have a bit
close
of a
with-
giggle.
Yeah, very
Imey
close.
and-
So you've got Imey and
Typhoon.
Typhoon duking it out. So there's still a place for grabs here. See Nathan sailing free and fast to try and scoot away, and Imey's had to put in another tack to get away. So that definitely works in Typhoon's favour.
So based on our maths, the Moonin has won the club championship. With 1 point behind, put a place in between, you go 1 point ahead. Sort of, it's that simple, isn't it?
I understand what you're saying. Just a confused look on your face, Paulie's got me.
That's the way I see it, Paulie. But as I said to you at the start of the day today, you're the numbers man.
Well, I am, but I get a bit nervous.
So Imey over behind Typhoon there. So Imey 6. And now on screen you can see the fluid building with Chad Beebe steering today. They'll be coming in for 7th place. Great result for those guys. Still a work in progress, that boat. Always seems to be improving, though.
I saw they had a tweaker on their boat, which I haven't seen on a 16 in a very long time.
Yeah.
Well, ever for my time.
A tweaker?
They've got a tweaker for their kite sheet.
Yeah.
Which tweaker is a little pulley or rope that you can help to trim the back edge of the spinnaker. So it runs through the spinnaker sheets. It controls the angle that you pull the back corner down at. Typically, younger viewers, Flying 11s, Manly Juniors have them. That's where I last sailed with one.
Not normally associated with asymmetric spinnakers, though.
No, but
Well, no, but if you can close that leach up a bit, more depth and
well, I know we used to run
it when
sort
you
of
need
2
it.
spinnaker blocks.
Red Pumps over...
Red Pumps Red.
Red
Over
Pumps Red
Red Pumps.
in 8th, I think. I think they're 8th. I'm counting on Paulie for the maths.
I'd go with 8th. And then we've got the other Red Pumps coming in who were looking very good early, but just had that little bit of a mishap at the bottom mark.
Yeah, they seem to have swims at critical times sometimes.
We were sort of talking about how the chutes are really good, but I think the chutes, if you've got to do a gyre whilst you're dropping it, you get into a bit of trouble because there's no way to partially drop one.
Yeah.
As soon as you blow it, you've got to get it in. And it looks like they tried to gyre whilst Jay was bringing it in halfway down and nobody could hit the wire, and over you go. Next in looks to be the Capital Brewing. It's a good race from them. They were pushing up towards the top 6 early on, and then we sort of saw some of these boats that didn't have the greatest starts push through a bit late.
Yeah, they hung on pretty well.
And then your two's favourite boat in the fleet coming up.
Yeah, the Mighty Fire Truck. they've had a really good race today.
It's a great race from them.
Hopefully for them that sews up the
Cruise
trophy for them.
I'd say that they would have been on pretty similar handicaps them in the Bartley, so it's a really good job from them. It's always nice to collect something at the presentation too, not get a feather duster, isn't it?
Most definitely. Yeah, yeah. And confidence boosting for the young guys, you know.
Just, as we said, it gets you in a good mental state moving forward.
Yeah. No, that's a great effort.
Nice tack from them just then too, really nice tack. Is that the kind of things you sort of look to them to improve on, Jimmy? You know, manoeuvres, things like that?
Yeah, they nailed most of the manoeuvres and bits and pieces. Just race management is the big thing now we're sort of working on, and you know, I think them coming to grips with, you know, you're now playing with the big boys. You know, it's you're not the alpha dog in the Flying 11s. There's a bit of argy-bargy between
a bit of
Botany
port and starboard between
Botany
Botany and Chubbs, right on the finish line, and then we've got Shebang.
Oh, good work from Ant and the team, getting themselves back into it.
Next over we'll have Zoe Dransfield in the Southerly. We've got the Bartley Construction 13 taking the win.
Very nice win from them, isn't it? It's a bit of daylight back to the next boat.
Well done.
Long way back.
Yeah, when you get this sort of up-range pressure, some of them start making mistakes. And
well, that's sort of what I was saying about the manoeuvres. Once you've got them down pat, you can start thinking about race strategy. It's got to be second nature, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just time in the boat. Paulie is the big thing that we're working on. You know, I know they're a bit nervous about using some newer gear and bits and pieces, and it's like you just got to get on with it. You know,
just ask the sponsor for more cash.
Yeah, sure.
Might put Sal Media on it. So here we have the 13 coming second. I can't quite see their number.
I think it might be Andrew de Montfort.
I think it was the A-wall down the bottom, wasn't
Jake Bentley. And they're closely followed by Cybertech by the looks of it.
We haven't seen the Ebics out here today.
We have seen them out here, though.
Yeah,
having
they're out here.
a day of swimming.
Really?
A couple of times I've seen them having a little swim, so...
Yeah, early on they were in third spot.
Yep.
But yeah, they might have found themselves getting into a bit of trouble. I can see them down there near the Bombora.
Nice.
Starboard tack. So yeah, that is Andrew de Montfort and Jake Bentley on screen there now. They'll take second place in the 13. That's a really good result for those two. They've been working hard getting through the fleet. Don't mind us, that's just a Manly ferry.
Sort of. I've just watched the ferry go past us. I'm going, why is there a ferry
Coming from the other direction?
He looks like he's got a bit twisted up there, hasn't he?
No, I think there's a ferry actually in the wharf, Polly, so he's just he's coming astern just to give few
So
room.
Altus across the line.
A-wall across.
A-wall across in the 13s. Next 16 about to cross is the Employment Hero. Just see them there now. And they'll be followed by Musto.
It's really interesting to see how much more compressed the fleet has been at the end of the year. Like, these first few races we did, there was some big gaps over the whole fleet, wasn't there, Jimmy?
Yeah, well, and it's good to see that, like the standards coming along for all of them, and hopefully they all stick together next season. And I know of a few crew changes already penned in, so
I know a couple that are getting kept a little bit secret at the moment, I think. But
there's a bit of that going on.
But I think for the young guys coming through, who we've seen the big improvement on, the camera shots that we get on from this thing from these races, we've seen a couple of them. You don't have to have the sound on and listen to us because, but really go watch the way some of those top guys move through the boat, the way that they jibe, really have a look and get an understanding of what they're trying to do through manoeuvres. I think that's a really integral thing for everybody to try and get a handle on.
Yeah, well, it's that never stop learning attitude. Like I remember when, we first got back into 16s, like I got the likes of Dolly and Jammer Bruce Perry out for, several days to.
Well, I had somebody come and teach me how to tack one of the boats. He's sitting next to me.
And it's always about learning and never stop learning, I think, is the key. And the young guys, as you said, like they don't have to listen to the commentary on the watch back. Just watch how some of the top guys do these manoeuvres and learn. Like
body movement, everything like that. It's all.
You can see a lot more from off the boat than on the boat.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. We used to film ourselves quite a bit if we ever went training.
So, and that's it's the little fluid there crossing the finish line. So,
so
I think that'll
give them the third spot.
Third spot for the
club championship.
For the club championships for the
well done
for the fluid.
Yeah.
The little Donnie Rollinson. Little legend.
He said we've got to stop calling him Little Donnie.
All right, Little Donnie, we'll stop that. Well, we might wrap things up for there. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for being with us. Well, Polly, you've been with us just about the whole lot. So thanks, mate. I know you were nervous in the beginning, and
I think I talked too much.
And he's confident now.
And it's a pleasure working with you guys. Thanks to Manly Skiff Club for giving Star Media the opportunity this season to cover their club championship races and the nationals. And I hope all the viewers at home and the viewers in the club really enjoyed what we delivered for them. And I hope that hopefully we see you all next season is a big thing. But thanks to my guys, to Chits, to Rob, Piers and little Gecko Sammy. It's now official, Sammy. It's live on air. So, no, thank you. And as I said there, this has just been another Star Media production for the Manly 16-foot Skiff Sailing Club.